Quitting a job you don't like is a tough call, but it's only made even tougher by some very persistent myths. These myths create social stigma around quitting, which is silly because quitting a job is perfectly natural. In fact, 10 to 15% of us do it every single year. These myths keep us stuck in bad jobs and give bad leaders and toxic workplaces much more power over us than they otherwise would have. Let's change that. Here are the top 5 myths about quitting a bad job. Myth number 5 is that quitting equals failure. Don't be a quitter. No one likes a quitter. Winners never quit and quitters never win. Do any of these sound familiar? According to traditional thinking, once you've started something, you should never quit, and if you do, it's a clear sign of failure. I say that's completely wrong, and sometimes quitting is exactly the right thing to do. I'm reminded of the story of Danish opera soprano Tina Kiba. As a child, Tina was a pretty good violinist and spent her free time practicing and practicing and practicing. One day she was in a violin contest and realized that she would never be more than a mediocre violinist. And by the way, she also enjoyed singing way more. So she quit the violin, took up singing, and became a leading international opera singer. If she had seen quitting as always the wrong thing to do, she might have stuck with the violin and never become as successful as she was. So truth number 5 is that sometimes quitting is the way to success in something else, and staying equals failure. Myth number 4, quitting is the easy way out. So you quit your job? Well, I guess you just didn't have what it takes to succeed. Too bad you couldn't hack it and chose the easy way out. Some people see quitting as a sign of weakness, and I say that is nonsense. If anything, the easy thing to do is to just keep mindlessly going into that job you hate, day after day, year after year. It may be horrible, but you know what you have, and you avoid the uncertainty of making big, life-changing decisions. Quitting, on the other hand, takes guts. In my opinion, quitting a workplace that is toxic or getting away from a boss who's a complete jerk can be a downright heroic act. Truth number 4, quitting can be a courageous or even heroic act. Myth number 3, quitting is selfish. How can you be so selfish and quit your job? You're letting down the workplace, you're letting down your customers and your coworkers. Also, think of your family. How are they going to manage if you quit? This is all wrong. If you don't like your job, you're doing no one a favor by staying. When you're unhappy at work, it tends to affect everyone around you through what psychologists call emotional contagion. And there's a good chance that you're making your coworkers and possibly even the customers less happy. As for your family, maybe they would actually be happier if you didn't come home from work every day tired, stressed, and frustrated. You might even set an example for your kids. At a speech I did for 400 nurses once, one of the nurses in the audience said that if you go into work day after day, year after year, and really hate your job and come home stressed and angry, what are you teaching your kids? I thought that was a really, really cool insight. Truth number 3, quitting is not inherently selfish. Sometimes it is the right thing to do for your coworkers, for yourself, and for your family. Myth number 2, quitting is risky for your career. If you quit your job, it's going to look terrible on your CV and your career will take a hit. Yes, and staying for years in a job you hate that is slowly wearing you down is going to be awesome for your career. This myth completely ignores the career risks that come from staying in a job you hate. We know from the research that the longer you stay in a bad job, the more you lose the energy, motivation, and self-confidence you need to advance your career. So truth number 2 is that sometimes quitting is the very best thing you can do for your career in that moment. And finally, myth number 1 is that quitting is a last resort. Sure, you could consider quitting, but you should exhaust all other options first. You only quit when everything else has failed. For people who believe this myth, quitting is the very last option. It's what you do once you're too broken and exhausted to possibly stay on at your current job. And that makes this potentially the most dangerous of the myths I list here, because it means people stay in bad jobs until their breaking points, and in many cases way past their breaking points. So truth number one is that quit when it's the right thing to do, not once it's the only option left to you. I'll be honest with you, whenever a friend tells me that they've quit their job, my instant reaction is always, awesome, good for you. You made a tough career decision. You took initiative and decided to move away from a bad job into something even better. I say we start celebrating those who quit their jobs for the brave, motivated, and proactive individuals they are. But we can only do that if we forget about these 5 myths. Did I miss any myths about quitting? Have you encountered any of these in your work life? How do you react when someone close to you talks about possibly quitting their job? Write a comment. I'd love to hear what you think.